Holly's impressive road course performance put him farther out of reach. Today's race at Atlanta presents the final chance for him to use a drop week, and from there, he no longer has that protection. While he theoretically could seal up the championship, does he take that risk? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 9 of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Chris Foby. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Atlanta's high banks and rough track is known for chewing up tires quickly. Let's head to our track guide to understand more about what makes this place so exciting.
Welcome to the Atlanta Motor Speedway, an iconic staple on the NASCAR Cup schedule since the doors opened back in 1960. Located roughly 20 miles south of downtown in the suburb of Hampton, Atlanta has forged out a spot in history, playing host to some of the most iconic moments in motorsports. Prior to its repave and reconfiguration, Atlanta looked more like modern-day Homestead. In the summer of 1997, Atlanta was reconfigured to that 1.54-mile quad oval it's currently at. After that switch, the NASCAR Xfinity Series and Truck Series also became regular yearly competitors at the track. But it's actually an IndyCar that holds the track record here. The series ran regularly at Atlanta for 4 years. The surface here has certainly worn over time, giving way to its sister track in Texas as the fastest quad oval on the NASCAR schedule. Surface here has not seen any paving since construction finished in 1997. Over the years, the track has become famous for its super close photo finishes, thanks in part to a very wide exit off of turn 4 compared to both Texas and Charlotte. It allows competitors to often exit 2 and even 3 wide with room to spare, and that outside lane can get quite a run to the checkered flag. That's our look at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Enjoy the show.
Well, Chris, we're going to have an interesting one today for sure with the high speeds with these trucks and with a lot on the line trying to put himself in the position for the championship for Holly's case.
Yeah, this is a track that really can give and take from these drivers. The surface, as we mentioned earlier, is really abrasive here, and the tires, from what I've learned here in the last week or so, the tires are pretty good new, but the truck can be a little bit loose. So look for these guys to hit a sweet spot just 1 or 2 laps in before the tires fall off a cliff. And look for turn 4 to turn 1 to be your best passing zone, getting that run off of 4, setting them up down the double dog leg into turn number 1.
We'll certainly keep our eyes out on that. But before we get our eyes on the racing, today's race is brought to you by SimMSA. Simulation Motorsports Affinity provides many consulting services, from completely customizing simulators to managing teams, individual drivers, and complete events. They're working hard to bring everyone together at one place to support and promote sim racing internationally. Find out how you can bridge the gap between virtual and real motorsports at SimMSA.net.
The PRL NASCAR Truck Series is also brought to you by NinjaTrader. Ready to compete against the financial markets? Supporting over 60,000 users across the globe, NinjaTrader provides award-winning trading software and brokerage services. NinjaTrader is always free to use for advanced charting, backtesting, and trade simulation. Visit NinjaTrader.com to get started with a risk-free trading simulator and start tracking your performance.
Today's broadcast is also proudly sponsored by Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add an incredible immersion and realism to any game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat. Check them out at thebuttkicker.com. So, as we look at our championship standings here, Bradley Hawley is 32 points ahead right now. Now, 49 points is the max that you can score. So, he has quite a bit that he has to make up. Obviously, he has to win, get some bonus points and whatnot. The question is, does he try and risk himself if he finds things getting dicey for that victory to try and put other drivers back down far enough that he could seal up the championship? It's fairly close between guys like Daniel Knight and Brennan Chatley there in 3rd and 4th, as well as Jim Westerfield back there in P5. Expect those three to be keeping an eye on each other around the track as they try to get an advantage heading into the finale, which does not count as a drop week. What about the team's championship here, Chris?
Well, thanks to large part to the victory that Bradley Holly was able to pull off, the Whataback Overdrive Racing team pulled out another overall team victory last week, and that helped them gap the field a little bit with now a 64-point advantage over the Back Row Racing team. The Whataback trio at the top of the charts, now 3rd. The Next Level team, 118 points back. And still that battle for 4th, pretty warm there between Car Ramrod and the Riding Shotgun Rangers.
Now, for today's event, as we mentioned, we're in the penultimate round. It's 85 laps that they'll be running around here, but they have no spare truck. Essentially, in iRacing, sometimes some leagues have a car that you can go and take. It is a complete fresh new car that you hop into if you get too much damage. They don't have that sort of luck here. It's a fixed setup, though, so the drivers don't have to worry about trying to get these trucks into the condition that they like. And they have a 24 incident limit. That is a strict 24 incident limit, so there's no drive-through penalties before that. You just get a DQ if you reach those 24 incidents out there. With the high speeds today, I don't expect too many cars to be able to reach that limit without being severely damaged. We're waiting for the qualifying to get going in these last 3 minutes. There's been a lot of practicing that I've been watching, but if I'm honest, it's looked a little chaotic, Chris.
Yeah, that's a fair way to say it. This is a pretty wide track, though, Joe. There's a lot of different lines you can run here and possibly try to find, as we see a little incident there pop up on the screen, but a lot of different ways you can drive this track, and especially with these trucks that are so momentum powered. These guys are trying out a lot of stuff in practice, and a little bit of fun going on there as they occasionally wreck each other a little bit.
Watch Bradley Holly, who's currently 2nd on the timing sheets. Kalen is our quickest, interestingly. Mark looking very fast today, at least in the warm-up, but then it could wind up differently in the qualifying, and as well the race itself. It's pretty hot today, too. 101 Fahrenheit on the track surface. You talked about the tires hitting the sweet spot. Is that going to make that window even narrower?
I would imagine so, because the heat makes the tires a little bit softer, because, you know, that's how rubber reacts to heat. And this track is, I mean, we cannot stress enough, this track is basically a cheese grater. So it's going to eat those tires up real fast.
Here's some action right here as we ride on board amongst a few of our drivers. This is, I believe, on with Colton Lane as he watches Jim Westerfield in front of him. And that was also Daniel Knight with them as well in the number 17, jockeying for positions, really showing how many different lines are available for the trucks as they send it through the corners. 175 miles an hour to 170 miles an hour that they run through these turns. This is almost feels sort of comparable to places maybe like Michigan.
That's a pretty fair assessment there, Joe. This is a track that's got pretty fair banking all, you know, in both corners, and these trucks are really pretty close to wide open for a good portion of the run too, which makes it very much like Michigan. And the racing there for the trucks has been great the last couple seasons, so I'm excited to see what these guys can do today.
Knowing that, and I know we've been talking a lot about the tires, remembering that they only have 3 sets in total, or 4 sets in total, 3 times that they can change the tires. How would you try and play this in terms of tire strategy?
I would definitely try to take it conservative early in a run and to try to be there at the end and to try to get as much life out of the tires as you can. I think anytime there's a caution, as long as they're not one after another, we're going to see these guys on pit road getting tires as much as they can. But on the flip side of that, if this does get a little caution heavy, especially towards the end, we could see these guys have to ration those tires a little bit, and that strategy could come into play as well.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what the fresh tires are like after we get some laps on them. If we get a caution, we get some mixed strategies, because If some drivers take them and some don't, that'll give us valuable information, and the drivers valuable information as to if it's worth the track position or if it's worth taking the tires in the end. Well, the qualifying session starts and our drivers head out for their laps. I'm going to take a wild stab with the momentum that you mentioned earlier. This is going to be a second lap is the better one case.
I think so. We'll probably, if this was me driving out there, I would probably handle this qualifying session similar to a super speedway with those big banked corners they have here. Get up against the wall through 3 and 4 here, get a great run off of 4, and then just try to kill it on that second lap.
You can see a few of them heading out, and it looks like Stacy Hunter is currently our first driver out there in the 71. You can see him starting to pick up speed, managed to win the super speedway race out at Daytona, so maybe he's pulled a few tricks from that one. He starts on his first flyer. Does he stay up high? No, he's going to run it down low.
You know, another flip side of that too could be these drivers knowing that how quickly the tires fall off here. Maybe they do want to just try to get their laps in banked as quickly as possible.
Yeah, could be. It looks like once again hugging the low side for the 71. Lets it drift up off of the corner to the line. Let's see what he puts in. 31.4 is our first marker of the day, and Patrick Cowgill immediately goes faster than that. You get a few more down and through. Looks like William Farmer going to put it briefly on the front row. Nick Hunter now coming to the line. Let's see what his first time lap is going to be. 31.343. That'll put him in 5th. Stacy Hunter's coming back, first one to get that second lap in. How much quicker is it? 2/10 for that number 71. That'll only bump him up to 5th, though.
Yeah, looks like the laps are starting to come in hot and heavy. Abner Acosta now going to the top of the charts with a 30.7.
Watching Baron Hilton. And what is this going to do for him? A 31.252. That's going to put him into 7th. As we now switch back to Brennan Shatley, who goes mildly quicker. And actually, that's the second lap there. And he'll be up to 4th. That's on the second row with a 30.9. Still our best is Abner Acosta at a 30.799.
So now following along here with Baron Hilton, Joe, coming down for what looks like his second lap. And he does raise it a couple tenths there as well.
Hilton puts it up into 9th place briefly before he gets shuffled back down yet again. Colton Lane, who is sitting in 8th, goes across for the second time at 30.8. Will not do the pole, but it's not by much. 11 thousandths behind Acosta.
Yeah, that was a great lap by Colton Lane as we see Bradley Holly's first lap click in. And that'll be good for 4th position as they run right now, but he does still have that second lap to put in.
Shelby Huff, 22nd, then 23rd. And what's the second lap going to do? Looks like not an improvement, unfortunately. Lane practicing his pit entry, which could be viable, but that one was definitely not going to work as he was well too fast past the cones. Now, Holly is coming back around. Can he go quicker? Can he get the pole position points? It's a 30.7. Yes, he can. He's quicker than Daniel Knight by a 1/2 tenth.
And Daniel Knight had pole position for just the briefest of seconds, but unfortunately, Bradley Holly able to overtake him now as we see the 48 of Thomas Sink come across.
It's interesting. Mark Kalin pulled around and then parked it, and he's going to take off again. Now, I don't know if he's going to have much time here. In fact, I don't think he's going to get a single lap in, so the 62 might have to start from the back of the field. This is Ryan Traver, and looks like that second lap didn't count, so he must have brushed the wall too.
And here comes Thomas Sink back around. And goes a little bit quicker, just a hair. Looks like he'll still hang around that 14th position.
See Mike Richter not able to go quicker his next time by. We're getting a little bit of cloud cover. Wonder if that may be what Kalen was thinking about, but he just pushed it way too close because unfortunately you can see the clock ticking down to 0 now, and he's barely into the lap. So that is it for our qualifying, and Bradley Hawley has it on the pole. Daniel Knight starts in second with Abner Acosta in P3. Colton Lane starts fourth. Adam Zemke will be P5 with Patrick Cowgill starting 6th and Doug Evans in 7th. To his outside, it'll be William Farmer in P8. Dominic Begine starts 9th, and Brett Adams will be P10.
Just outside of the top 10 is Jim Westerfield in that 11th position with Thomas Sink right next in line. In row number 7 is going to be Brandon Walter and Danny Cervantes. In 15th position is going to be Adam Shane, followed by Brendan Chatley. 17th position on the grid is Doyle Lawrence with Austin Hunter to his outside. And then closing out the top 20 is going to be Blaine Adams and Mike Richter.
Jose Medina puts it in 21st with Baron Hilton in 22nd. Then it's Nick Schwartz in 23rd. Terry Marinaro will be in P24. Stacy Hunter well down in 25th today. Nick Hunter also next to him in 26th. Matthew Kulhanek will start 27th, and the last two to put a time in is Traver and Huff. Drivers who will be gridded at the back are Kalen, Aubrey, LaBaff, and Lee. 33 cars taking to the grid here today. Waiting for the pace car to lead them around, the pace truck to take them around for a single lap, and then they will be released for 85 laps here today. We already saw that the temperatures have not gone down as we briefly looked at them before, still at 100. So no change there. Going to be a hot one, going to be slippery cars on an incredibly fast track with a decent sized field. We should have an interesting one to say the least.
I think that is a definite fair point there. I think we're going to see the tire game come into play. We're going to see a lot of strategy here to keep the tires underneath these trucks. And also, we have a championship that Bradley Hawley is going to trip into the distance and maybe sneak a clinching of. So there's a lot of storylines that are coming into this one, and we're looking forward to it.
He'll need at least 17 points to put himself out of reach. Because even if Acosta ties, Bradley Hawley has far more wins. In fact, Acosta still has yet to win a race this season, but his consistency has been magnificent. 6 top 5s in the 8 rounds that we've had. And he's actually gotten a fastest lap in there once. Acosta snagging at least 1 compared to 2 fastest laps for Bradley Hawley, but the bonus points, honestly, really tell the tale. Hawley has gotten 43 bonus points. That's essentially a win's worth right there, which is why he's so far ahead. Compare that to the 20 bonus points of Abner Acosta. And it is just the thoroughness of Bradley Hawley that I think is part of what gets him these championship leads that he keeps earning so early.
And you know what's funny is going into the first half of the season, it was almost looking like a down season by Bradley's standards, but we've gotten into the second half and he's reeled off a few wins in a row, and he is definitely looking like the Bradley of old.
He collected himself and he got it all together, and he has delivered. Can he seal it up though? As the pace truck is in, Hawley waiting. Green flag is out, and he is on it. They start to accelerate away. The second row got a good jump. They have nowhere to go. They're all over the rear spoilers of Knight and Hawley as we head through turns 1 and 2. This is not where you're going to see much of the excitement yet, because it takes a bit to get these things wound up.
Still, Abner was basically shoving the 184 of Hawley on that start. He's now going to take over command of the second spot. Daniel Knight fading back to third here in the early running, and Knight almost looks like that truck's a little uncomfortable for him right now early in the run.
Starting off on lap 2 now. Hawley ahead of Acosta. Knight slipping back into third. And they've got Zemke in a single file behind him. Up on the high side, that's Colton Lane, seeing if he can do anything on Doug Evans for P5. Oh, we got a battle for the lead as well. Daniel Knight, Abner Acosta rather, ducks to the inside of Bradley Hawley, and he's going to snatch that one away.
That almost looked too easy for Abner. You got to wonder if maybe Hawley was laying back a little bit, letting Acosta get out in front, and now he can push Acosta and try to get him to use his tires here. Because if you look, Abner got by, but he is not driving away.
We talked a lot about the almost super speedway nature of this place too. Could this be helpful in fuel strategy as well down the line?
I definitely think that's the case. The way these trucks seem to race on the mile-and-a-half tracks is, like you mentioned, very similar to a super speedway. Not a lot of braking involved, and the draft plays a huge role. After the latest update, I don't think it's as bad as it was on the draft, but it still is definitely a factor. Riding in that wake is going to allow Hawley to save a little bit of fuel.
We only had one driver start from pit lane, Blaine Adams, so he's well back, but otherwise everybody took to the grid. Things calming down a little bit here on lap 4. Mostly single file, first side-by-side action. You've got is Cowgill and Lane. This is for 6th position.
And the top 3 trucks really, I couldn't say it's a breakaway, but they're definitely in a different level right now. As we see Dominic Beijing going to work on the 60 of Colton Lane. You see, he didn't have position on Lane, so let's the 60 of Colton get to the bottom of the track and gives up the position there a little bit.
Up at the front, you may have seen through the windshield that Acosta, or Hawley rather, and Daniel Knight were going side by side, but now it's switching to Acosta. He's on the low side, Hawley on the high side. Is he looking for an over-under maybe? He pulls up, he ducks down low. The 184 has got a huge run. Acosta's not going to fight it. He slips back into second, but will he fall all the way to third because Daniel Knight down below him has a good opportunity to get back up to where he started this race. He's got a nose ahead down into turn 1, and indeed, Acosta's just going to have to let it go.
And that is one of the moments where that draft does play a role. You saw the slingshot effect there with Hawley able to take the lead, and then the 17 in his wake. We have a caution.
This is towards the back. It looks like the 44 of Schwartz involved. I also see Nick Hunter stopped in the 109. So this must have happened coming out of turn 2. I think Schwartz unfortunately had Hunter come across him. Yeah, right there. Spotter must have said clear, but he wasn't clear. A lot of trucks getting involved, though, afterwards.
Yeah, and there's, like you mentioned, there's a lot of trucks that took a little bit away from this. And on a track like this, a little bit of damage can add up pretty quick.
Jose Medina got a big whack. I think Matthew Aubrey as well. Stacy Hunter, though, made a great escape through it all. Don't think he touched a thing in the 71. We saw him in the green and black car just thread the needle. I'm going to watch it one more time. Here we go. Nicely done. As it looks like, even though we were only a couple laps in, we have hitters? No. Everybody's going to stay out except for a few that took some damage from that. Maybe a few back markers. Marinero. Aubrey is in. I see Kulhanek pitting, and Shelby Huff along with William Lee.
And I think that's a smart move for some of the back markers in the race today to try to put those tires on early on. You don't have the track position right now, so you're not giving up anything by coming down. And 9-lap fresher tires, that's going to be a huge advantage here at Atlanta.
Kulhanek looked like if he did take tires, he was only 2. Same thing with Lee, as it was 7 and 7 seconds each of them. Matthew Aubrey looks like he took 4 fresh ones in the 95. And I think Marinero is getting repairs based on how long he's been in there. Same thing with Shelby Huff. Blaine Adams really is the one that I think was able to take advantage of this best, because remember, he started from pit lane. Well, he's now caught up to the back of the field and did not lose a lap, which is always the biggest worry when you pull a start strategy like that.
Yeah, an early caution is really the best you can hope for when you start on a pit lane like that.
Right. So are we going to have a short one? We should have a short one here. Yep. Lights are off on the pace truck, is just ahead of them. Looks like Shelby Huff barely made it out without losing a lap. We'll have to chase back around and catch up to our leaders. So your starting positions are Hawley, Knight, Acosta, Zemke, Cowgill, and Evans. That's your first 3 rows here on this restart, which will happen on lap 11.
As far as the top 3 goes, it feels like we've just basically reset it with 10 laps in to just how we started.
That's a good
weird
point.
because they've all shuffled positions at one point or another, but here we are right back where we started from.
All right. Well, luck of the draw, really, amongst them. Seeing if we've had any big movers as far as our positions. I'm not seeing a whole lot. A few of the drivers that did start from the back without a qualifying time. Kalen's up to 21st, which is to be expected since he looked like he had speed in the warm-up. Still very much in the danger zone, though, so hopefully he can keep that thing clean. We still have a lot of laps to go. Pace truck getting ready to duck in as Holly's going to have control. There goes the pace truck. Green flag waves. Holly is off. And very quickly single file ducking down low. Daniel Knight wasting no time. He likes that bottom line, it looks like.
I think also he wanted to defend his second place position. We saw in that first restart, Acosta was able to stay stuck to the bumper of Holly and was able to take over second spot and eventually get the lead. Whereas now Daniel Knight was able to drop to the bottom, catch the draft, and now he's going to make a move for the lead here coming off of turn 4.
He's got a nose ahead, but he doesn't have the job done. In fact, momentum looks like it's swinging back in favor of Bradley Holly. He's still going to be on the long way around through 1 and 2. Both of them side by side, but still not losing time to those behind. Now they get single file finally. Holly could try and pull the over-under. He elects not to, just gives a little tiny tap as they enter turn 3.
That was just like I talked about in the pre-race show there, Joe. If you can get a run coming off of turn 4, chances are if you're able to duck down and show them the nose going down the straightaway, you're going to have it through 1 and 2.
We hop on board with Bradley Holly, the Texan chasing his fellow the Carolina driver, Daniel Knight, rather. They got confused because they had that Texas symbol on the back there, the cannon, with Daniel Knight Racing for riding shotgun, but not all of them are from there anymore. Meanwhile, they've extended the gap back to 3rd. Admiral Acosta about 0.3 away. Now, that's not dire, but interesting that despite a little bit of back and forth action, they're separating themselves from that number 5.
Well, other than Daniel Knight making the pass, they've really just kind of fallen into line here. And could be that draft put into effect, a little bit of the 2-car tango, so to speak. And these two are definitely gapping the field.
In fact, Cowgill looks down to the inside of Acosta. And it looks like he could have this one done. Yes, indeed, is up in front of them, side by side yet again. Knight on the high side of Holly. They come off of turn 2, and Holly takes it way up the hill.
Leave the door open with a driver like Bradley Holly waiting in the wings. He will capitalize.
That was Knight that took it up the hill, as he was on the high side. Thankfully did not brush the wall. So Cowgill up to 3rd, Acosta back to 4th. Already has Adam Zemke behind him. Zemke has just been cruising in the same spot that he started this race. Probably gathering precious data here early on, watching what's happening with those 4 in front of him.
I gotta say, here in the early running, Patrick Cowgill looking pretty sporty, making that pass on Acosta, already running up to the 3rd spot, up from 6th on the start. So he is closing in really quick on our top 2, Joe.
What if we could take a glance back at the 62? Kalen's up a couple more spots since that restart. He's now to 18th. Next on his list is Richter. There you see him on screen. Richter as well in the very bright orange and red car.
Now you got to wonder, Kalen was quickest in hot laps and then did not get a qualifying lap in. You can only imagine where he would be running at right now if he was able to get a lap in qualifying.
His quickest lap of 31.1. That's still actually about 0.2 off of Holly and Knight right now. But again, he's been running in traffic and the leaders have not. As we take a look at them once again, it's always easier to be quicker when you don't have the dirty air in front of you. Little tiny tap once again from Daniel Knight. Oh, and a checkup behind them, though. Thankfully, nothing comes of it. But clearly, with how close they are running, look at this train. This is incredible, actually. They're giving each other very little room between themselves, and that could lead to disaster with one mistake.
Yeah, I mean, look at that little stutter step there from Patrick Cowgill when he allowed the 17 and Knight to pull back to the bottom. Just that little burp of the throttle, and he fell back probably 3 or 4 truck lengths, and now he's getting overtaken by the 5 of Acosta.
When Knight's going to get to the inside of Bradley Holly, but Holly drifts up way high, ducking down low. Or was that Knight maybe getting a little bit loose? I think Cowgill's got a good shot at second place. He's on the high side. They make a little bit of a touchdown into the corner. Looks like they'll get away with it, though.
I don't know if that was an attempt at a side draft or what, but either way, the 31 of Cowgill gets a little bit loose off that second corner, able to gather it back up, but he's going to lose a little bit of that momentum, and now the 17 of Knight's going to pull back through, and that opens the door for the 5 of Acosta.
All this messing around. Look at the distance that Holly has put on this group. Still side by side between Acosta and Cowgill. This is for third. Colton Lane as well working behind them. That checkup definitely caused some consternation amongst the cars behind. Jean and Lane are the one fighting for 6th spot onto the backstretch. Once again, Cowgill just riding right up on the lip.
Just that little slowdown, Joe, and look how it's upset the way the field was running. Before this, they were all pretty much in one constant line almost all the way back, and now we have them too wide for a pretty good ways back into the field.
Continue to watch from Cowgill's perspective. Running a little high, coming down into one as Abner Acosta attempts to get inside of Daniel Knight. He's got a little bit of overlap here off the corner. Oh, and behind them, a touch between Colton Lane and a couple other cars. The trucks are all checking up now. I think they might be able to get away without a caution, but it was scary back there. This all starts with the 60 touching the wall and somebody else, I'm not sure who, if we can get a quick replay on that. One more look at it here. That is that to his inside there? That's a 23. That's Brett Adams. Yeah, I think Brett gave him a little nudge, and that just rushed him out into the barrier.
I think it might have been who was running behind him at the time, Joe. It looked like the 23 went up the track and maybe pinched him off a little bit, and when he checked up, whoever was running behind him, I think it may have been the 41, ran him over.
Now, strangely, as we look at 7th place, you might notice that it's Adams in 6, Evans behind him, then Thomas Sink in there, and that's Patrick Cowgill. Somehow he's fallen to 9th place, and I'm not sure why. As behind them also William Farmer's suddenly lost a bunch of positions coming off of 2. Are these tires already going off? We've seen so many drivers nearly hit the outside wall of 2.
Well, we are almost 25 laps in, and these drivers are pretty much all on that first set of tires. They are definitely in the window to hit the tire wall.
So we once again look at our leaders. This is all taking place almost a second behind Bradley Holly. There you can see him distancing himself from the likes of Knight, Acosta, Zemke, and Vagine. That's 2nd through 5th.
You know, Joe, I didn't put much thought into it when you until you brought it up, but you see that Daniel Knight is one of the drivers who, by his own admission, is not great at the tire management game. And if you notice, the last few laps, his truck has just seemed to be all over the place. So if he's a driver that's known for using up the tires and he's having that much of a problem, as you see that little pucker moment there off of turn 2, you could say that I think we've gone off the cliff as far as the tires go.
Wow, great catch there from the 17, but it'll send him to the back of that line as we ride on board with him now off of turn 4, getting right up to the exit. He's still fighting though. Looks like Bijin gonna go side by side with him as they head it down into turns 1 and 2 once again. Bijin's holding out, trying to hug that low line. Looking a little bit more steady than the 17, but it doesn't get him the spot. Daniel gets himself into 4th. So who's going to be a taker here, and who is going to try and hold out until we get a caution? Of course, the way the trucks are driving, it seems ever more likely that someone's going to bring out the yellow flags.
Yeah, I mean, look at the lap times of Bradley Holly, for example. Last time around was a 32.4. His best lap, a 30.9. So you can see that's a 1.5 seconds that he has slowed down over the duration of this run.
So it looks like they're not going to have long, which is going to make it tough to try and make the call for those tires. Brett Adams going to get passed by Doug Evans down to the inside of him for 7th position. We'll be able to get back in line before Brandon Walter can get involved. And my goodness, behind them, the green number 62 of Kalen just took 11th over Cowgill. Talk about reverse trajectories.
Yeah, they basically met in the middle there. Kalen not getting a qualifying lap in and starting at the back. Cowgill at one point challenging for the lead, and he has faded. And now they've swapped spots there for 11th position.
I am not going to count out Mark Kalen for the potential win here today. The way he's been driving the wheels on this thing. As we watch him send it down into 1. Oh, and Zemke looking for 2nd place in that 4-truck battle. To his high side, Acosta comes back with the momentum on the back stretch, but they send it into 3 at this point. Zemke is clearly frisky today.
Yeah, this is definitely the best run of the season for Adam Zemke so far. Up in the mix, and he is looking very fast.
And in fact, he's carrying good momentum. He finished, let's see, I'm trying to figure out what that was last round. He scored 41 points, which is well up there. That's, I think, I want to say a podium for him potentially. So they come down the backstretch, so he could get back, depending on how this goes. Still leading Acosta Knight and Bijin. Still no takers on the pit stops yet.
I think this is going to be one of those occasions. It's kind of like the Cuban Missile Crisis, Joe. These guys are all eye to eye right now, and as soon as somebody blinks, we're going to see them all hit pit road.
So we look a little bit farther back. This is Sink and Evans for 6th position. They have dropped off that group by about 1.5 seconds. Clearly not as quick in this first long run we've had today. A little cloud cover briefly on the circuit. I'm sure the driver is appreciating that, but it's not lowered the temperature a whole lot. It's still about 100 Fahrenheit that they're looking at. Got a side-by-side battle behind as well. Chatley and Cowgill. Ooh, and Cowgill had a big bobble coming off the corner. Cowgill just looks like the truck is atrocious right now. To his inside, that is Brett Adams. As Cowgill continues to lose spot after spot, I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, I'd love to figure out what the problem may be, because he is just hemorrhaging positions.
Maybe he's the one that needs to take a risk to try and come in, take some tires, see if it'll get him anything. As they start to go by Shelby Huff, a lapped truck who's going to stay up high. Everybody ducks low to get underneath there. Got to go back up to, oh, they caught Chatley here. This was the 59 was a little bit farther ahead before this. Let's see if Brett Adams is going to try and make a move on the 59.
So far, he's staying in line as they come off the turn here, but now he's going to peak to the bottom as they get headed down the straightaway.
At some point, they will have to take a pit stop if we don't get a caution flag. It starts to make me wonder what the fuel mileage is going to be like around here, and when is the point where everybody is forced to blink?
You know, how is anyone probably from about 13 back? I'd be considering it pretty heavy. I mean, obviously, I don't think the overcut's going to be very effective today.
Certainly not. Oh, and into the wall goes Adams. Is this our caution? Calgill gets involved. They're off the racing line. No caution yet. Looks like it also had Austin Hunter, and there's the caution. Oh no! A very late incident with Doyle Lawrence clipping Calgill. This started, though, I believe, with Adams, the 23, coming off of turn 2. Once again, suffering from the understeer that the trucks seem to be quite plagued with on that corner exit.
Yeah, the heartbreaking part of it is the driver that probably needed this caution the most is that yellow 31 that just got nailed.
Doyle just unfortunately picked the wrong piece of track. Yeah, he can see the wreck happening, but look at the two trucks in front of him. He's trying to slow it up, and yep, wow. As soon as he poked his nose around the side, he realized his mistake, and there was no evading it. Otherwise, our leaders, and I think everybody, is into pit lane.
Yeah, I think at this point you have a better chance of the sky turning green than somebody staying out.
Lawrence, unfortunately, going to have to take a DNF for that one. We also lost Nick Schwartz. Medina and Hunter, who were involved in the first caution, have been stuck taking repairs since then, so severe damage for them. First off the line is going to be Holly. Bajin follows in second. He took full service. That was just a great stop. Zemke returns in third, and Daniel Knight has to settle for fourth, but he's slow.
Wow, look at that. Look at that pit lane time from Dominic Beijing. A 38.3 down the lane. That's a 6/10 quicker than Bradley Holly, who's known for being one of the best on pit road in the series. And Dominic Beijing just was on his game in that pit stop.
All right, so mark it down on your charts. On lap 37/38 is when the drivers made their pit stops. And that certainly gave them pretty wicked-looking trucks by the end of the stint. And that was with a caution in there. So there was a number of laps where they didn't have them at full pace. And what did we say? About a second and a half off of the quickest times by the end of that?
Yeah, by the end of the run, it was a little over a second and a half difference.
Okay, so we're horrible at math, but we'll keep it in mind because that could be valuable if it comes to the end, and it does come down to who does pit stops when.
Well, I took my shoes off in case we have to go above 10.
I mean, your son's been working on counting, right? He could help you.
He for some reason likes to skip to number 6. I'm not sure what he has against it. I don't know if it's a personal thing, but yeah, he usually just goes 5 to 7, so I don't know how much help he's going to need.
Oh man, a number of drivers that are stuck down pit lane taking big repairs. Brett Adams was one of them. Austin Hunter, who was involved in that one, is going to go a lap down because of that. So we could be down to potentially already 24, 25 drivers on track by the time we restart. That's quite a few gone from our 33 that started.
Yeah, it's weird. Only 2 cautions, but there's been plenty of casualties of this race.
Well, I mean, when you have high speeds, the wrecks tend to not be small. So I guess it's just the nature of this sort of racing. Baron Hilton going to get his lap back as we go double file. and it is going to be Bradley Hawley who will have control of the field on this restart. Now, here's what's interesting. We talked about how the track was not cooling down, but as soon as we got a caution, I think it was the trucks really putting a lot of heat onto the surface. It's gone down 3 degrees very quickly.
Yeah, this is the coolest the track has been all day.
Wonder if anybody's been watching that, paying attention, seeing what it looks like out there. They've got potentially a crew chief in their ear letting them know you might find just that hair bit more grip on this restart as things have chilled out. They send it into turns 3 and 4 here. Our front group has been quite feisty up at the front, swapping positions a lot back and forth. Can Hawley hold on to the lead? Does he want to hold on to the lead? As strategy games have also appeared to play a small part in this. Pace truck is in, and the green flag is out for the 184, taking off. Mark Kalin, by the way, on that restart, coming in 7th place, already vying for top spots. Is he able to work his way now to the podium positions and maybe try and see if he can get into the lead?
I'm interested to see what Dominic Beijing's able to do up there in the mix as well for the first time today. There's actually quite a few new players up here right now. To see Thomas Sink in the picture as well as Doug Evans. So we have a lot of new players up here in front of the field, Joe.
Looking through, and I do see a short stop for Brennan Chatley and Colton Lane. I don't know if they took 2 tires, but we'll check in on that. Bradley Hawley already under attack from Adam Zemke as the 57 gets below him through 1 and 2. And behind them, you can see much battling as well. A lot of side-by-side action. Bajin and Acosta working on that. Kalin and Evans, rather. Well, now that's becoming Kalin and Sink potentially as they come off of turn 4, still side-by-side across the line between Zemke and Hawley.
In just 13/100ths of a second, the difference there at the line between Hawley and Zemke. So things are definitely heating up here as you see Abner Acosta now running on the outside of the 57. He was able to pull a little bit of that draft from Hawley, but Hawley drops back down to the white line on the track. And that's going to allow Zemke to now get back into the wake and to try to pull himself back up the battle.
This result is actually so phenomenal for Zemke if he can stay up here. He has only had a single top 5 finish in the entire season. So a win or even a second place will certainly put him through the roof. We watch from on board looking at that North Star title, number 184. Finally get a little bit single file throughout the field.
Yeah, I think barring any catastrophe, I think we'll probably see these guys lined up like this for a little bit in this run. Everybody on fresh tires, and they know that there's 2 things that Atlanta Motor Speedway hates, and that's hot tires and worn tires. And playing it safe right now will prevent both of those and make the race a little bit easier for everybody for a minute at least.
Past the halfway point, so they've at least made it with only 2 sets of the 4. Most of them should have a spare in their pocket if they need it later on. Depends on how the cautions fall and who decides to duck in when. Still, as we watch over the tailgate of Bradley Hawley, very calm until now, as both 2nd and 4th are going to go to the inside of the respective cars in front of them. And I think Zemke is going to have another attempt at trying to pull the lead away from this 184. I think he's going to lead across the line, but he hasn't finished the pass.
It must have been a pretty close margin there. According to iRacing, the difference in time to the 1,000th was no difference, but Zemke scored leader that last lap.
Once again, watch out for a green number 62 in all of this, because Kalin's up to 6th and stalking Thomas Sink right now. gives us a great view of the battle up at the front as well, which continues to be side by side.
Yeah, I think no matter what happens, the 62 of Mark Kalin can definitely hang his hat on this run. Charging from the back of the field to be up in the mix, and that truck still looks bad fast. It looks like he's biding his time a little bit now that he's made it this far. And of course, as soon as I say that, he peeks at the inside of the 48 of Thomas Sink.
A lot of looking left and right amongst many of the drivers. Still no change between our top two. Zimke and Hawley have been side by side for a good 4 laps at this point.
Well, the person that's got to be enjoying this is Dominic Beijing back there in third, watching those two use up their tires and get them hot there battling for the lead.
Yeah, this may bite them a little bit farther down. Wonder if it'll hurt Zimke more, though, because he's been hugging the inside for pretty much this whole battle. Shorter line, yes, but putting more steering into it. And now he starts to fall back. Is this where Hawley seals it? Yes, indeed. So Zimke, another try at the lead and another time that it did not produce that position. Kalin, in the meantime, has gotten underneath Sink. I think he's going to be able to slip into the top 5 for the first time this race.
I think you're right with the Zimke and Hawley battle, Joe. Really, Hawley running that line is a little bit easier on the tires, about a groove and a half up off the bottom, while he had Zimke pinned to the bottom using up his tires. So I think definitely a smart veteran move there for Bradley Hawley.
Lap 52 as we watch from onboard Kalin. I know we've been focusing on him a lot, but as we said, the fact that he charged through the field and made good on his race pace is a testament to the skill of him here today. They're going to go by a little lap traffic. I want to say that is Brett Adams and the 23 who's going to try and stay out of the way.
And looks like we may have a pass for second place shaping up.
Little look from Dominic Beijing on Adam Zimke. Watched him wear out those tires for so long. He fancies his shot at getting into the second step of the podium. We hop on board looking at the rear bumper of the 57.
And looks like Patrick Cowgill has retired from this event. Tough break for the Michigan driver after running up towards the front of the field at the start of the event. But it looks like he is calling it a night.
And we said at the top of the show that things can go south quickly here, and it's not a place that you want to take for granted. Fortunately for Cowgill, he seems to have underestimated just how fierce this track can be. Down and across the line, almost nothing splitting our top 5. In fact, there was less than half a second between them.
Looks like once again they, at least for the moment, settle in.
Now, I do suspect, I'm trying to think, lap 37 or so, lap 37, 38, yeah, that's when they came in for stops. Is that enough to make it on fuel? That's a little more than halfway.
My math is right. That's going to be close. Ooh, a little shove there from Thomas Sink into the back of Abner Acosta.
Yeah, and that brought Kalin in, who takes a little look at the inside and unfortunately can't do much with it. This is increasing our pack up at the front because now they've got Doug Evans cluing into this. Brandon Walter looks like he's going to use the slipstream to join the fray. Cervantes, maybe even John LaBaff back in 10th. Oh, and a battle for the lead yet again. And once again, choosing the low line, it is Adam Zimke. Tried what he tried last time. It didn't work. There's something about a fool trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result here.
Well, it's the definition of insanity, but right now it looks like Cowgill maybe inching ahead. No, that outside momentum working for Holly. And Dominic Beijing just sitting back, lurking in that third position, looking for somewhere to go, Joe. Whoever has the advantage here will probably have the 66 behind him pushing.
We're looking at about 15 laps into this run now. Actually, a little more than that. No, we're about 20 laps into it, maybe 15 on the tires at pace. As he falls off of turn 2, Zemke is going to pay for this one. Beijing coming up around the outside as he took a good run off of that second corner. And is this going to be similar to what we saw with Bradley Hawley using that high line to really slingshot off the corner? So far, so good, as it looks like the Canadian has a nose ahead.
Now, this may be a slight hot take here, but if I was Dominic Beijing, I really would not have gone for the low-hanging fruit and past Zemke. I think I would have lined up right behind Zemke and helped push him past Holly, because, I mean, say what you will about Adam Zemke, he definitely is not short on talent. But with the reputation that Bradley Holly has in this division, if you have to go heads up with somebody for a win, do you want to go against the guy that wins every week? Or do you want to go against the guy that is up there in the top 5 for just the second time this season?
That's a fair point. Regardless, he did get second, and now Zemke has Acosta to his high side. He's going to slip backwards. And will he finally stop the bleeding here in 4th? He's still hugging down towards the white line. Behind him, it's Thomas Sink. Now he's able to finally get a hole in the traffic and get in there. Now, what exactly happened? I'm trying to recall. How did we lose Daniel Knight all the way back to 19th? Was that in the pit stops?
It must have been, because he pitted from top 5, I believe. But yeah, it must have been through the pit stops, because I don't recall seeing him up there after we went back to green.
Well, sad to see with the pace that he showed early on that he won't be able to back it up. And I think Beijing does have eyes for the top position. Doesn't matter how many championships Bradley Hawley has won. Now, he's going to try the inside, much like we saw from Adam Zemke. Can he make the difference with maybe tires in slightly different condition?
Yeah, I was going to say, he is stuck on the bottom trying to make the pass, but this is his first attempt at it, and Bradley's had 2 or 3 battles for that lead that were pretty intense there. So you got to think the 184 may be hurting a little bit more on tires. And look at that run. Dominic was getting through the center of the corner. Now he's going to fall back in line, and then he's going to take a peek as we head into turn 3. He's going to pull even with him into 3. Goes the right way. He could have this by turn 1, but that momentum on the outside, as we've seen here at Atlanta, is very powerful.
And Bradley Hawley is not interested in giving it up to anybody right now. Acosta, could he potentially take second away from Beijing and give himself another chance? Maybe look for his first victory of the season. In fact, I believe Beijing won our very first round of this season. Looking down low, Abner Acosta absolutely chucks it into turn 3, and he is passed as he drifts back up. Look at that, nicely done by the 5.
Yeah, maybe that lack of pace he was showing there for a little bit could have been him saving tires, because it looks like he is turning up the wick now as we are a little bit deeper into this run.
In fact, it's going to be 20 to go next time by. Ooh, man, if they do try to go all the way to the end on this fuel, those tires are going to be an absolute handful.
They somehow try to make a run of it. I don't want to be the guy out there that's driving it with the way those tires are going to be worn down.
Down through 1 and 2 yet again. And on to the backstretch. Acosta ahead of Beijing. I do think that the 57 used up his stuff. Even down the back straightaway, he was losing a car length on the top three.
Well, that's where the experience and the treachery of Bradley Holly comes into play. He opened the door for Adam. If he wanted to make the pass, the line was there. But in trying to make the attempt, he unfortunately had to live by the sword and die by the sword there as he used up his grip and is now facing the consequences.
Got a nice little battle here between Hunter and Chatley. This is for 12th position. Excuse me, Chatley actually, and where is that, Hunter?
It looks like
that's LaBaff on the high side. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, you should probably thank Sean for that one. He put the graphic up on the screen at the right time.
LaBaff riding the desired high line. At least at this stage in the race, it looks like the high side is better, but Stacy Hunter gets some good momentum down on the low side. Actually gets well ahead. Can he finish the pass? No, not quite yet. Keeps an overlap on him. LaBaff coming back at him. Coming through the corner. They're losing touch to Chatley up in front of him. Oh, and into the wall goes LaBaff. Just a little bit of a brush, loses speed, and that will end the battle. Westerfield as well, going to get by.
Looks like we had a pass for position, Joe. Dominic Beijing back up into the runner-up position, getting around the 5 of Abner Acosta.
Indeed. So that will put him one step higher on the podium. The laps are starting to dwindle down. At what point is track position the important thing? Where will the drivers start to decide to put their foot down and not let anybody try and get a run? Start making some moves to defend. Down into turn 3 once again. Dominic Beijing being chased by Acosta. That fight did help Zemke. He closed the ground ever so slightly.
It also helped Bradley Holly, who's jumped out to the biggest lead he's had in this tire run. 3.5 tenths on the field right now. And Abner Acosta not letting that 66 machine get too far away as he has eyes full of that Iron Maiden tailgate.
Hunter was who you saw on the high side, just staying out of the way. He's 12 laps down, recovering from being involved in one of the yellow flags. Semke losing out big time here. My goodness, it's up to 0.6 of a second. And he used to be right on top of these two, is taking a small poke to the inside. Acosta thinks about it on Beijing, but then decides against it.
I think the best thing for these two right now is just to play nice here and try to get a run on Holly.
We are down to 15 laps to go, I think. 13 laps to go. If anybody was going to take another stop, we are long past that point. You are not going to have enough laps to try and make up for the loss there. Oh, but we got a caution. Saved by the bell, and I think William Farmer is the one that brought it out. I see him stopped on the inside of the track. Indeed.
Well, this is definitely going to be a game changer here as we follow along with Mr. Farmer here, and you see he gets loose on the outside, overcorrects it, and unfortunately clobbers that outside wall.
Now, we had another incident shortly before that, like about 15 seconds before that first incident. LaBaff and Blaine Adams came together. And nobody hit anything except each other. There you see the tail end of it. You're going to see it on the backstretch here. LaBaff just going to get tipped a little bit. Comes across him. I don't think that caused the caution, but wow, great job keeping that thing from sliding up into the barrier.
Well, they may have came together, but I can say after this little incident, I don't think they're going to be coming together for a holiday meal anytime soon.
Certainly not. Wonderful job by John. Let's go back live because we've got pit stops happening. This could be decisive. We are looking at less than a 10-lap run when we come back to green. As they all hit their stalls up at the front. Hawley first in. Will he be first out? You can see just how far back Daniel Knight was as he finally hits it. Who is this going by? That's Medina, but he did not stop in his pit stall. He missed it. Looks like Hawley, and then Bajin, and then Acosta. And how about Mark Kalin? He'll be back and forth.
Yeah, that Kalin crew definitely hitting it on the money stop there. 38.5 seconds his time in the lane. 3/10 quicker than anybody else up there in the top 5.
Well, nobody is willing to take the huge gamble of taking 2 tires, which does not surprise me based on how the trucks have been handling. Every single person took 4 and are back out. So we're going to be at, I think, 8 laps to go when we restart. Let's see if the truck turns off this time. Got a few drivers that are going to get their lap back. You see in front of our leaders. Yeah, lights stay on, so it's going to be 8 to go on the restart, so they can get 1 more caution and still have a restart before we start getting into green-white checkers.
But you got to think with this few laps left, Joe, it's going to be desperation time for some of those guys a little further back in the field. We could see this one, one of those cautions, breed caution situations. So still a lot up in the air for how this race is going to play out.
You also have to wonder who looks good on fresher tires. Does anybody appear to be stronger later in the run versus earlier in the run? Will this play into somebody's hands a bit better than others?
That's another fair point. And, we saw how strong Dominic was at certain points of that last run. I'm really curious to see him and Bradley heads up after racing around each other for a little bit that last run. I think maybe Dominic may have learned something here, and he has the advantage of starting on the outside.
Absolutely. Our drivers come around, and Hilton coming into pit as Nick Hunter's going to get one of his many laps back, 58 laps down. This is essentially just trying to get the points here today, I think, as they have to do... No, actually, he won't get the points, I don't believe this. He needs at least half distance, correct, to be able to score? If I remember the rules correct, we'll double check on that. Try and report back, but they double file. Hawley versus Bajin versus Acosta versus Kalin. Nine laps down to 8 laps to go here on the restart. Kalin naturally has been the hard charger, but he has not put a qualifying time in. Dominic Bajin's not doing too shabby. He qualified 9th and is going to restart in 2nd here today. That's a good leap forward for him. He can just keep it together.
I'm really excited to see what Kalin can do starting this high up. He's been so fast all day, and this last run could possibly play out into his hands as well.
And he's tied for fastest lap with Bradley Hawley currently, a 30.910. Now, that will be separated by iRacing as it is able to determine past the 1000s, but we can't see that as the green flag waves. Is this our final restart? Hawley's decent. Ooh, chopped down from Bajin. Almost gets into Acosta, but he's going to deny him that chance, and Acosta's going to take 2nd.
And looks like Kalin may have gotten hung out a little bit on that restart. He's dropped a few spots, and now Adam Zemke back up to 4th and looking to get in the mix as well.
Oh, but Zemke checks up. Thankfully, Sink was not into the back of him, is able to run high. That high line's not coming in yet on these tires this early in the run. He isn't able to go by the 57. We watch our top 4 up in front of Thomas Sink. Sounded like almost had a problem with Colton Lane back there as he was very animated on the radio for a second, but no caution, thankfully.
So closing in on 6 to go here. And right now, everybody playing nice, which I got to say is a little unexpected with this few laps left.
Yeah, I would think it would be a rush to get up to the front, but Bradley Hawley is very good here on the restart, keeping himself about 2 car lengths past Abner Acosta. That will mean he cannot try and attack and try and get that too wide situation he needs to attempt to overtake. It's going to be 5 to go at the line. And again, nobody really at the very sharp end of the field battling much. Walter, Evans, and Cervantes. And a little bit of a fight back there between 7th, 8th, and 9th. Otherwise, just nose to tail running between everybody in front of them.
Acosta has been quicker the last couple laps than Holly, but so far not able to get close enough to do anything about it.
Cervantes just stole the fastest lap of the race from some of our leaders, denying that bonus point. 4 laps to go. Acosta is watching, but he has to be careful. If he makes a move, Bajin could easily take advantage of that and get back into 2nd place.
Well, you mentioned those tires have a sweet spot, Joe. I think we're right at the point now in the run where those tires are as good as they're going to get. As you see Bajin now to the inside of Acosta for that runner-up position. You can see him there on screen. And that's going to be exactly what Bradley Hawley wants in that 184.
Oh, yeah, already he is gapping the pair of them. Acosta has the desired high line. Ooh, I almost thought for a second the Zemke thought about 3 wide. He kept it behind Bajin, though, coming off of turn 2, way up close to the wall. Abner Acosta flirting with disaster.
Well, I gotta say, this may be the race-winning move for Bradley Hawley. Was that attempted pass by Bajin, because Hawley now 3/10 up. Also, that was a pretty sick Molly Hatchet reference there, Joe.
Oh, into the wall. That was Sink. Unfortunately brushing it, giving Mark Kalin the 5th position. Everybody fighting behind it, and we got a caution. This is, a big wreck actually involving the 71 of Stacy Hunter. Mike Richter in the 51 was in the air. This starts with Stacy Hunter, actually. 3 wide. He's going to get a shove from LaBaff into turn 1. And poor Daniel Knight is right there when he gets that shove. He's also going to get involved. And Patrick Calgill as well, you could see. Or no, that was Kulhanek. That wasn't Calgill. Similarly painted car. 51 in the meantime, who we saw just absolutely flying through the air. Who was the one that sent him going?
Yeah, it happened so quick I couldn't see who got him.
That was Hilton, the 47. Came in late to the incident. Here it is, right here. He's coming down towards it. Obviously, he's racing, so he's distracted. He knows to check up here, but ooh.
Well, it probably didn't help that, the 51 was also flying through the air down the track. So that probably didn't help Barron at all either.
All right, so this happened with less than 4 to go, which means we will get a green-white checkers. I believe they get 1 attempt at this, I want to say. Yes, 1 attempt. Let's see, I think we are already, nope, lights are on the pace truck, so we're not double file yet. Everybody's just eager to get this one going. Someone is smoking a lot there. Who was that? That was Stacy Hunter attempting to limp that truck home, because he's actually still in 20th. That's incredible. We've had so much damage on these trucks that he's going to finish mid-pack if he can just keep the engine from expiring.
Yeah, looks like he's on his way to a Cypress Hill concert.
Wow. Wow. Okay, then. That's our leaders up at the front is Bradley Hawley, Dominic Bajin, Adam Zemke, and Abner Acosta. Mark Kalin as well, managing to get up into the top 5. Those, I think, are the main ones that you need to be concerned with that potentially could snatch the win. But they need to keep a green flag run until they get to the white flag. If the yellow comes out before the white does, the race is over. That's the finishing positions. If the white flag comes out, it is no holds barred. There are no more cautions, and everybody has to race to the line.
I'm glad you were able to formulate the rules for that one, Joe, because it seems like I always end up forgetting a step whenever I try to explain it.
Yes, indeed. They still got the lights on the pace truck. That's bad news for poor Stacy Hunter. I mean, the longer that truck runs, the more that engine is just crying, please end me. And it might not make it to the finish. In fact, as soon as he gets fully on the throttle, he could find that thing just pattering out on him, and he'll have to try and get offline so he doesn't bring out the caution and end the race.
Oh, kind of like that.
I didn't hear it blow up. I was riding with him briefly.
Oh, no, I meant he was driving offline.
Oh, I see. I see. Yeah. Well, as we wait for our drivers to come across the line, I think we should get the lights out this time by, and it'll be 2 laps to go when we go racing. Overtime. It's been a while since we've seen that. I think last time we saw that, well, I guess you can't really call it overtime when we were at USA, just because they actually ran out of time there.
Yeah, that was overtime because we stayed clocked in a little bit too long.
Indeed. As there you can see them now going double file. Now where is, Acosta riding in 4th on this restart. So Acosta, I don't believe, will finish, unless he wrecks here, will finish enough points behind Bradley Hawley that the championship will be over with a win for Hawley. Granted, it'll make it all the harder at this point if he gets beat by him in this round. What Hawley needs to do is put himself a win's worth away because he cannot drop the season finale. He has to show up and he has to score points to try and seal the deal. Out of turn 4. What is this going to look like? Will we get it clean? And will it finish under green? Pace truck ducks away. Hawley has control. Green flag is out and Hawley is off. Didn't look like the greatest of starts for Zemke, who checks up a bit. Everybody behind jockeys for position, looking to try and find space, ducking down to the low line. That's Bajin immediately covering off the inside line.
I don't know if Dominic knew he was clear, but he was going to be clear.
We will cover which line here. Oh, and clear this time. Here comes Zemke. He gets himself a good run. And this is great news for Bradley Hawley. We come up to the white flag, and we are going to the line. Zemke going low. If they fight like this, they will not have a shot at trying to fight with Bradley Hawley. It'll be a best of the rest situation as they come off the corner, almost banging doors between them as we watch from the rear bumper of the 184. He remains clear as they come into 3 and 4. Behind them, Acosta sitting in 4th place, maybe looking for the over-under as he shoots down low, but it doesn't matter where he finishes because Bradley Hawley is going to win here today at Atlanta. 2nd, barely going to Bajin, with Zemke claiming the last step on the podium. Fantastic stuff. That is the green-white checkered finish we wanted to see. And it's some congratulations from his rivals as Hawley gets some celebratory bumps from those behind. We're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway here for round 9 of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. Bradley Hawley takes win number 4 on the season. He hasn't sealed the championship, but he's very close. He was ahead of Dominic Pagine. The Canadian went from 9th to 2nd and was barely ahead of Adam Zemke at the line. This might be his best finish of the season with 3rd. And it's Abner Acosta watching the championship get less and less likely, still winless and finishing 4th today. Mark Kalin was P5 after failing to qualify, didn't let him stop him, and quickly worked his way up to the front. Brandon Walter was 6th with Thomas Sink in 7th. The damage that he got late in the race didn't seem to stop him. Danny Cervantes was P8, and then Doug Evans was 9th with Brennan Chatley rounding out your top 10.
Just outside of the top 10 was Blaine Adams with a nice, quiet, consistent day, followed by Matthew Aubry in 12th. Colton Lane in 13th, followed by Jim Westerfield. 15th was John LaBaff in the 911, followed by Ryan Traver in 16th. Daniel Knight, bit of a rough night for him, comes home in 17th. Adam Shane, 18th. Shelby Huff, a nice run to come home 19th, and William Lee completes the top 20.
Then, amazingly, everybody from there on down was a lap down or more. Kulhanek, 21st. Stacey Hunter, 2 laps down, 22nd. Richter, 7 laps down in 23rd. And then, unfortunately, beyond that, you get to DNFs all the way down to 33rd. That brings us to our winner here today, Bradley Hawley with win number 4. Bradley, there was a few times that you gave up the lead. How much of that was just managing this race, though?
That was pretty much every time. I felt like the outside was strong, but on fresh tires, it was, early on, it was just too early to fight that hard. And as the race went, the harder I fought. And, in practice, I could see that the top was really strong, especially after about 10 laps on tires.
When we came down to the caution with about 12 to go, we weren't sure if there was going to be another caution. We were wondering what the trucks were going to be like coming to the end, because it was way too late for anybody to try and duck in for tires. What did it feel like in the trucks at that point?
Trucks felt like they were glued to the track.
Wow.
After we took the last set of tires, as soon as we took the green, I never let off the throttle. I was pretty much full throttle all the way to the checker flag.
That's incredible. We thought for sure, based on the way everybody was slipping and sliding the first half of the race, that it was just too much of a handful. Well, let's talk about the last restart then, the green-white checkers. What was your strategy heading into that?
Defend as best as I could. I didn't want to, go blocking like crazy and causing a big wreck. I did a little block to Dominic. Wanted to show him some respect if he really wanted to make a move, and I wanted to keep the high side and to see if I could defend it for the win, and he ended up checking up. So it worked out in my favor today. We go into next week at Vegas. Could be a totally different story.
Yeah, indeed. And no drop week for that one, unfortunately. Congratulations, though, on a win this week, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you come Vegas.
Thank you very much.
It's Bradley Hawley winning here at Atlanta. Meanwhile, we go from Texas all the way back up north to a Canadian, where Chris is caught up with Dominic Pagine.
Well, Dominic, great run today. Truck looked really sporty. I got to ask, that first pit stop was just blazing fast, got you a whole bunch of positions on track. Did you do anything special there, or was it just a good stop?
Nah, probably just a good stop. I usually get bad stops all the time, and this one was really good. Got me a few positions, like you said. Helped me out.
Now, you had a few opportunities to take a look at Bradley, but unfortunately that outside line looked a little strong. Did you think you had anything for him if you were able to get up there?
There was 2 times in the race I thought might have a chance before we got the last yellow, before we get one to go. And the last time around when Bradley threw a block at me, perfect block, got me off my position a bit. But beside that, no, I was just trying to hang behind him for that good second spot. That was it.
All right. Well, we have Las Vegas coming up next week. How are you feeling about that?
Pretty much the same as this week. I'm gonna be aiming for a podium if I can, but it's gonna be a fun track like this one. It was a blast to drive today, and just gonna hope it's gonna be the same next week.
All right, Dominic. Anybody you want to thank to help make today possible for you?
Yes, going to thank my teammates Matt and Bill, you guys for putting on the broadcasts, and as usual, the PRL League for putting this up.
All right. Congratulations again on a great run. That's Dominic Beijing, our runner-up today. And Joe, believe you've caught up with our third-place finisher.
Yeah, I have to imagine Adam, even though he didn't get second, has still got to feel pretty good. Best finish of the season from what I can tell on your stats. Adam, is this a favorite place of yours?
Yeah, I actually like Atlanta quite a bit. Any of these mile and a halves I like quite a bit. I feel like I got quite a bit of pace at them, and it's kind of, this has been a funny season because we've gone to so many road courses and so many short tracks. And I was kind of gearing up for to have a good season. It's kind of not turned out that way, so I'm completely happy with the third place. I don't know what the difference was between me and Bajin there at the end there, but I know we were right side by side. I kind of screwed him up a little bit because he might have had a chance to go up and get Brad, but I just seen an opportunity and had to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, we're all racing for our own race here, and it was 2 100ths between you at the line. So certainly pretty tight. I guess the good news for you is you've got another mile and a half with steep banking coming at Las Vegas next week. Can you repeat that podium or maybe even sneak a win?
I sure hope so. I'm pretty excited about Las Vegas. That's it's not really that similar to here, but I mean, it being a mile and a half is I think helps me out quite a bit. And if we can keep going green flag runs, I think that's going to kind of help me out in this, as I'm able to save tires a little bit. Anytime that we, avoid caution fests, I think I can do a pretty good job just because I've worked on trying to manage tires as much as possible. And I think it paid off in this race a lot just because everybody was getting so wicked loose once they kind of run their tires into the ground a little bit. And I think I did a little bit better job just kind of trying to ease up a little bit and let the draft kind of carry you forward a bit.
Well, interestingly, we heard from Bradley that on the second run that, I guess after the first pit stops, that he was flat out that entire run. Was that the case for you?
Well, Brad's some kind of alien, so I can't be on his level all the time. But I was still having to lift at the end. But if I kept my foot in it, the back end would just kick out on both 2 and 4. So it wasn't worth wrecking my race and wrecking other people's races just to try to get that little extra 10th in there. So.
Well, regardless, phenomenal job. You're clearly on an upward trajectory. We hope we get to see you continue that when we head off to the West Coast.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Before I go, I'd like to thank SimMSA, NinjaTrader, GSRC, PRL, and Web Hearing Centers, everybody that makes these things happen. And obviously, any of the fans that are watching, thanks you guys for showing up. Thank you.
That was third place finisher Adam Zemke. Real quick, though, Chris has a chance to talk to a man that we had our eye on much of the race, Mark Kalin.
Well, Mark, I hope you've had a chance to take a drink of water and catch your breath. That was a huge drive, started 30th today. And was that your plan to kind of skip over qualifying, or did you just get caught out there?
Oh, absolutely not. That was not my plan at all. Unfortunately, just coming to the second lap, I scraped the wall a little bit in 3 and 4. So I only had about 45 seconds left in qualifying, so it wasn't enough time to get back on pit road and go back around. So it is unfortunate.
Now, for those watching at home that maybe aren't regular iRacers, as much as you're sitting in your house doing this, but tell us about the physical toll that driving up through the field like that takes on you.
Well, you are in the comfort of your own home, and as I like to keep my air conditioner low, I still worked up a fair sweat. So it isn't easy, maintaining that level of competitiveness for an entire race like that. But it sure was a heck of a lot of fun to drive through the field like that.
Now, with your eyes on a somewhat similar track next week, do you think if you're able to get a qualifying lap in, you think you got something for him in Vegas?
I sure hope so. Vegas, I don't think, is one of my best tracks. So I'm going to have to put in some extra time. But I sure hope so, at least qualify up in the top 10 and be able to fight with them for the majority of the race instead of having to fight from the back.
All right, Mark. Well, thanks for talking with us. Go get some rest and maybe wipe that sweat off your brow there.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, fellas. Thank you all for a heck of a broadcast, as always.
Back to you, Joe.
Yeah, and that's going to wrap up our interviews for tonight. Some fascinating ones that we got to hear from. So before we go, let's give a big thank you to our sponsors. Of course, Simulation Motorsports Affinity can be found at SIMMSA.net if you want to see how you can get involved in the world of sim racing. And as well, a longtime sponsor of the series, NinjaTrader, is simply at NinjaTrader.com. And finally, for your sim rig, check out the buttkicker.com for all kinds of cool products that can help improve your experience. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Her Bandcamp is listed at the bottom if you want to find more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean, Chris, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. There's also our social media, which includes Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head on over to our YouTube page and hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. And in a week's time, we are going to the finale at Las Vegas. That'll be Wednesday, March 3rd at 9 p.m. Eastern. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.